What's up? I hope you have had an amazing day. Today we're going to talk about how to edit on your Macbook Air using Premiere Pro and Proxies. But this really applies to any other computer as well. So if you tried editing on your laptop or MacBook Air, you might have noticed that it's quite slow, especially if you're editing 4K footage. But as I said, we can solve this using something called a proxy in Premiere Pro. So first of all, what is a proxy? Well, a proxy is like a copy of your video, but in a codec and format that is more suited for editing. And it also often has a lower resolution to increase performance. So how do you create a proxy? Well, let's hop into Premiere Pro and find out. Now we have Premiere Pro open, and as you can see, I have a 4K video in the timeline. And if we try to scrub through this video, you can really see that it doesn't really work at all. So let's see that. Nothing really happens. And if you try to jump through the video, it takes a second or two to actually render the frame. So now we're going to create a proxy. And to create a proxy, we want to right click on our video in the project manager. And then we want to go down to Proxy and click on Create Proxies. This will open up a new dialog box where you can choose the preset. Now that we have this dialog box open, we want to choose the QuickTime format. So make sure you choose QuickTime. And this will allow us to choose a variety of different presets. But you might notice that the options are rather limited. So if you wanted to go with a lower resolution, you'll have to create an own custom preset. And in order to create a new custom preset, you want to open up Adobe Media Encoder. And Adobe Media Encoder comes with Premiere Pro. So if you have Premiere Pro, you also have Adobe Media Encoder. And this is what it looks like. So first of all, we want to create an encoding preset. So head up to Preset and click on Create Encoding Preset. This will open up a new dialog box with a variety of different options. You can really dive into the settings here, but we're not going to do that in this video. But in order to save a lot of time, we're going to base our custom preset on an existing preset. So make sure the format is set to QuickTime. And then select Based on Preset, and you want to choose Apple ProRes 422 Proxy. But if you're using a Windows machine, I would go with either GoPro Cineform or DNx HD. These are all intermediate codecs, which means they're more suited for editing. But this will render your video in the original resolution. So in order to change the video resolution, you want to head down to Basic Video Settings and uncheck this box right here. And since the preview in Premiere Pro only takes up about a fourth of the entire screen, I don't need the entire resolution, so I'll set it to about a quarter of Full HD. And that is 480 times 270. And I find that a good balance between quality and performance in my case. But keep in mind that this will also change the aspect ratio of the video. And before we save this, we want to name the preset. And I'll name this one to 480 times 270 Apple ProRes 422 Proxy. And then click OK to save it. This will add a new preset in the User Presets and Group section. But we can't use this in Premiere Pro yet because we have to use an ingest preset. It's kind of weird, but that is how Premiere Pro works. So once again, we head up to Preset. But now we're going to choose Create Ingest Preset. So click that. And this will open up a new dialog box. And in order to use the encoding preset that we just made, you want to click this Transcode File to Destination. Now you want to make sure that the format is set to QuickTime if you're using Apple ProRes. And then set the preset to the one we just made. And that is the 480 times 270 Apple ProRes 422 Proxy. And the destination doesn't really matter because we're going to change that in Premiere Pro, so you can just ignore that. And before we save it, we just have to name it. So I'll name this one 480 times 270 Apple ProRes 422 Ingest. And then hit OK to save. This will add our preset in the User Preset and Group section. Now we just have to import that into Premiere Pro. And first you have to locate the file. So go ahead and right click on the newly made ingest preset. And then click Reveal Preset File. This will open up Finder or the file explorer you're using. Now you want to remember the location of this preset because we're going to use that to locate it in Premiere Pro. You could also copy it to your desktop in order to locate it more easily. So remember the location of this file and go ahead and open up Premiere Pro again. Now we want to click on this Add Preset Ingest. And this will open up our file explorer, and now we want to choose the file that we just made. And now it's important that you choose the ingest preset and not the proxy one. So go ahead and choose the ingest preset. This will add the ingest preset into Premiere Pro. Now, as I said, the destination didn't really matter because we're gonna change that in Premiere Pro. You can either create your proxies in a proxy folder next to your media, or choose the default location, or browse and choose a location of your own preference. And in this case, I'll choose to make the proxy in a folder next to the media. Now when you press OK, this will open up Adobe Media Encoder and start rendering the proxy. I usually do this overnight because it takes a bit of time. As you can see, Adobe Media Encoder started rendering the proxy. But I will just stop this one because I've already done the proxy. Now let's compare scrubbing through the original 4K video file compared to the proxy. So this is without the proxy. You can see that it lags a lot, and it's not really possible to scrub through the video. So if we press this button here, we can enable proxies. And if you don't have this button in your toolbar, you just press this plus button and drag in the button from there. So let's scrub through our video with a proxy. As you can see, it's much easier. And this way you can edit 4K footage or 8K or whatever resolution you want. There are, however, two things that I should note. And that is, you can't create proxies for merged clips. That is, you have separate audio and video. Then you have to create the proxy first and then merge the two clips. And also, if you're using an interpreted frame rate, you can't create proxies with it because it has some synchronization issues. So if you're using interpreted footage, that could cause some issues. Well, that's it. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.